Have you got low back pain, tight knees, sore shins, sore ankles, any of that? If so, join me for this lower body mobility practice. We're going to open up the hips, the ankles, the knees, the hamstrings, and the low back. Before we get into the practice, we're going to take some conscious connected breaths together. Deep in through the nose, into the belly, and then we're going to exhale through pursed lips. And the reason we exhale through pursed lips is to create pressure in the diaphragm, is to expel carbon dioxide, is to release stagnant energy that has been built up within our body. So the way that we do this is kind of like blowing raspberries. So it's something like this. So when you're expelling that air, push against your diaphragm, push that air out of your belly. So together we're going to take 6 conscious connected breaths, and then we'll get into the practice. Breathing in through the nose. Last 2. All right, let's go. So first we're going to open up the adductors. They internally rotate the hip. And the way we're going to do this is in this frog position. So the inside of the knees, the inside of the ankle are going to be flat against the floor. We're going to start on our palms, and we're going to just find a bit of a stretch within the adductors here, the front of the hip. And what we can do is we can play around and just explore. So we can bring the hips back, we can bring the hips forward. We can push the hips back, we can push the hips forward, and we can breathe through our nose deep into the belly and then exhale through pursed lips as we just did before. So breathing in through the nose. And with the inhale, think of the inhale as you inhaling and expanding, and then on the exhale is an opportunity to go a little bit deeper into that stretch. Again, you don't want to push it too much, just little by little, find your edge. And then what we can also do is we can come down onto our elbows, onto our forearms, and this is just going to change up the angle of the stretch. So again, here we can take some deep breaths in through the nose, breathing into the belly. And so with this, you can go for 6 to 8 to 10 deep inhales and exhales, or you can hang out in this position for 1 minute, focusing on deep breaths. And then once we finish opening up the inside of the hips, we're going to open up the back of the hip. So this is essentially your glute, the external rotator of the hip. And so the way we're going to do this is by bringing our front leg forward, bending the knee, and bringing the foot in at about a 45-degree angle. So the back leg, the foot is going to hang straight out the back. And then we want to find our center with the chest. So kind of square up the chest, find your center. And then what we want to do is we want to exhale and we want to bring the chest across. So what we want to do is we want to exhale and come down and bring our upper body across. So this is going to open up the back of the hip, and then we can inhale to lengthen and extend. And what we want to do as we come down is we want to keep the chest up. We don't want to just flop over. We want to keep that integrity and keep the chest up, like so. And so here you can do 6 to 8 to 10. And so here you can do 6 to 8 to 10 repetitions and inhales and exhales, or you can hang out for a minute, and then we're going to swap over to the other leg. So bringing the opposite leg around to the front at that 45-degree angle. The back leg goes straight out behind. Again, find your center with the chest, and then we're going to exhale and come down. Inhale to lengthen. And with this, we want to make sure that our glute stays on the floor so that we're not lifting up, because otherwise we're going to lose tension and we're not going to get that stretch. So keeping the glute on the floor, keeping the chest at this upright position and leaning over. So 6 to 8 reps, 6 to 8 deep breaths. And then what we're going to do, now that we've opened up the inside and the outside of the hips, is we're going to open up the front of the hips. And the way I love to do this is by using a couch or using a wall. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our knee, our quad, right up to the edge of the couch. So what I'm going to do here is push my knee back all the way. This front leg is going to come up to 90 degrees, this nice 90-degree angle. And then I'm going to squeeze the back glute to tuck the pelvis underneath. That's going to open up the front hip. And I don't want my ribs flared out like this. I want to bring the ribs in. And this is going to increase the stretch through the front of my hip. So here I can hang out for 6 to 8 to 10 deep inhales and exhales, breathing in through the nose, into the belly, into the hip. If I want to get more of a quad stretch, I can use the hand to grab the foot and pull the foot closer to my butt. This is going to bring more of a stretch through my quad. It's going to stretch out those muscles at the top of the knee. This is a really nice way to open up the front of the body. Excellent if you've been sitting all day, if you've been driving in the car all day. So again, you can hang out here for a minute and then we can swap over and we can do the other leg. So same thing, pushing the knee all the way back to the couch. This front leg up at 90 degrees, standing up nice and tall with the chest. And I'm going to keep the ribs engaged, keep the pelvis tucked underneath to open up the front of the hip. And again, some nice deep breaths in through the nose, into the belly. Six to 8 to 10 deep breaths, inhales and exhales, or hanging out in this position for a minute. Now that we've stretched out the hips, we're going to mobilize the ankles. So this is another amazing one if you've been driving all day. What we're going to do is we're going to come up onto the ball of our feet. So the ball of your foot is kind of like the top of your palm here, the knuckle of your hand. So we're going to find a bit of balance here. We're going to bring the knees down to the ground. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sit back on our heels, find a nice tall position with the spine, with the chest, and we should feel a nice stretch within our feet. What this is going to do is open up the feet and start to lengthen all of the tiny little muscles inside of the foot. This is going to also open up the back of the ankle. So you can hang out here for 6 to 8 to 10 deep breaths or 1 minute. And again, you can extend this longer if you've got more time. You can make it shorter if you don't have that much time. And if this is a little uncomfortable, just shuffle around with your body weight. Find something that's more comfortable. But the fact is, not all of these are supposed to be comfortable. It's important for you to get comfortable with the discomfort. This is going to help you expand your edge of resistance. So after a minute of that, we're going to tuck the feet underneath and sit back on the heels. And now we're going to open up the front of the angle. And And now we're going to open up the front of the ankle and open up the shin. So another amazing one. If you've been sitting all day, if you've been driving all day, your foot's been in this flexed position, we're going to open it up. So this may be uncomfortable for you as well, but we're going to hang out here for 6 to 8 to 10 deep breaths, inhales and exhales, or for a minute. Now, once you go through that, we are going to stand up and we're going to open up the hamstrings and the low back. So we've mobilized the hips, we've mobilized the ankles. Now we're going to mobilize the hamstrings and the low back. What we're going to do here is the elephant walk. So we're going to start with bent knees. We're going to place our hands down on the ground. If you can't get your palms all the way to the ground, that's totally fine. Happy for you to just use your fingers. And what we're going to do is we're going to straighten out one leg while keeping the other knee bent. And then we're going to come back down to a bent knee and straighten the opposite leg out. So we can find a bit of a flow with this movement. And this is going to open up the hamstring and the low back. So straightening one leg out, coming back down in that knee bend, straightening the other leg out, back down in that knee bend, straightening the other leg. And we find a flow. So quality over quantity here. You don't need to rush through it. You can take this as slow as you like or as fast as you like, but it's important to really get a proper stretch here. So what we can do is we can tuck the chin to the chest. This is going to help us get a deeper stretch. And what we can do is go for 10 to 20 reps on either side. So a total of either 20 to 40 reps. And we're just going to open up the hamstrings and the low back. There shouldn't be any pain with this. It's important to move within a range that feels comfortable for you and slowly increase that range the more you practice. So that's the elephant walk. And now what we're going to do from here is we're going to go down into a pike. So very similar. We're going to put our hips to the sky, hands down in front of us, and we're going to go through and kind of pulse in this position. So we can go through 10 pulses and then we can go for a 60-second hold. And here we're kind of squeezing the glutes, keeping the ribs engaged. And this is going to create this length through the hamstrings. So what we can also do is tuck the chin to the chest and really get our hands as close. What we can also do here is tuck the chin to the chest and put our hands as close to the ground as we can. So like this. So I can go through 10 of these, and then I can go for a 60-second hold. Breathing in through the nose into the belly, exhaling through pursed lips. On that exhale, you can go deeper into the stretch. Now we've opened up the hips, the ankle, the knees, the hamstrings, and the low back. This is literally a 5-10 minute practice. You could go longer and make it a 15 to 20 minute practice, but this is how simple it really is. So, thank you for joining me in this practice. Hope it's been helpful. Have an epic day.